Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be going over 10 manga that I would like to see get an anime adaptation. Now I did a video like this not long after starting my channel about 4 years ago, where I talked about 5 manga that I would like to see get adapted into anime, but it's been a long time since then and I've read a hell of a lot more, so yeah. The 5 manga that I discussed in that video will not be appearing in this one because I've already talked about them. One of which, To Your Eternity, did actually get an adaptation, the other 4 did not. And they were Dengeki Daisy, A Fallen Vampire, Doubt, and Dawn of the Arcana. So even though I would like to see those get adaptations still, I'm not going to be mentioning them in this video. I also will not be talking about series I've read less than 3 volumes of, as I haven't really given them enough time yet, such as Blood on the Tracks, My Love Mix-Up, Cheeky Brat, and Rubsakeri. I would like to see those get adapted too, but I haven't read enough of them yet to include them in this video. So anyway, these are 10 manga I would like to see get an anime, in no particular order. And that first one is Queen's Quality. Of course, I'm Kyuki's Reaper. Now, Queen's Quality is a great shoujo series. It has romance, it has comedy, it has action, it has dark themes. This basically has everything, and I think it would make a great anime, especially with the action scenes. I would love to see them adapted. This is a series by the same author as Dengeki Daisy, which I mentioned last time, so I thought I'd go with her other series for this video. Queen's Quality is about a girl, Fumi, who, after waking up at school with no memories, ends up joining up with a group of sweepers called the Genbu Sweepers, and it's their job to go inside of people's mind vaults to clean out these insects which are causing people to have negative thoughts. So they can enter into like this mind vault world where it's like inside of people's heads, and they clear out all the bugs and stuff. They also clean the environment around them, which helps prevent the bugs from materialising in the first place. So yeah, after joining with them, Fumi starts to learn more about herself, and this is an excellent series which I think will make an excellent anime. And so especially with the action scenes. I would love to see Queen's Quality get an adaptation, as I love this series a lot. We'll see if another 4 years down the line, if any of these do actually get an adaptation, such as To Your Eternity from the last video. I highly doubt this one will though, but I would love it if it did. Next up, out of everything on this list, I think this next one is probably the most likely to get an anime adaptation, and that is I Had That Same Dream Again. This is based off a light novel by Yoru Sumino, who is the same author as I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. And I Want to Eat Your Pancreas got a great film adaptation, and I would love to see this get the same treatment and be adapted into an anime film done by the same studio as Pancreas, and it would be amazing. This is Yoru Sumino's best work in my opinion, and I would love to see an anime of it. It's about this 10-year-old girl who was one day told by her teacher to do an assignment to discuss what happiness means to her, and she's kind of stumped and she doesn't really know what she's going to do, and along the way she meets these 3 women who are completely different, but they all have something in common, and from meeting these women she starts to realise more about what happiness is to her, and come to realise who these women are. And it's just a very good story that I would really love to see get the same treatment that Pancreas did with a fantastic movie. It doesn't even have to be a series, this would make a great movie. And because Yoru Sumino has had a popular film in the past, there is a good chance that we will someday see this, hopefully. Anyway, and the third one, these are in no particular order. The third one I'd like to talk about is A School Frozen in Time. This is a great mystery manga that finished recently. It's only 4 volumes long, and I think this would make a great 12-episode anime. It's the art's by the same person who did Uri in April. I know Uri in April is popular. So I would love to see an anime adaptation of this mystery series. It would be so good, like, with all the cliffhanger endings they could have on each episode, and like all the plot twists. And yeah, it's about a school that gets frozen in time. We have all these classmates, and they go to school one day to find it empty and the clocks are stopped. Like the exact time that a student from their class jumped off the school roof to their death, and now they're realising that time has stopped and people are disappearing, and they think that it's got a connection to that, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and it's such a good mystery that I think would make a great anime. We don't have enough mystery anime, and I would love to see more, and I would love to see this one get adapted. It's so good. Next up, I would like to see an adaptation of After School Nightmare. Now this is a super old manga. This is from like the early 2000s, I do believe. So out of everything on this list, this is probably the least likely to get an adaptation just because of its age. Although we've had adaptations of older series before in the past. Let me see if I can find the release date for this. No, I can't seem to find it. Is it in the front? Sometimes it's in the front. Here we go. 2006. This came out in English in 2006. I'm not sure when it came out in Japan, but yeah. 2006 in English. So it would have been like a few years earlier in Japan, so yeah. Quite an old series, but After School Nightmare is such a good mystery horror-ish series that is just fantastic. Again, it's one of those shoujos that also has some like darker themes to it and has some action in there, and I would just really love to see an adaptation of this. I do believe that none of these authors' works has ever been adapted. I've only read a couple, but this is definitely my favourite. After School Nightmare is a series about a intersex character, this person on the front here. And they're kind of struggling as to whether they're male or female because physically they are both. And one day they are given this, like, they go down into this basement and they end up in this, like, dream world where they appear as what they consider themselves as, and like he's appearing there as a girl. Because in the beginning he wants to be a boy, but in this dream world he's appearing as a girl. And there's other classmates there, and they need to find this key. And if they find this key, then they get to graduate, but they don't know what graduating means. Because once someone graduates, they disappear, and all memories of them disappear too, so they're kind of working with this girl here, and this guy is also in the dream world. It's a good mystery series, it's fantastic, and I would absolutely love to see an adaptation of this one. It's very good. Again, I highly doubt we'll see an adaptation of that one, but I would really like it if we did. The next one is another one I would really like to see get a really good film adaptation, and that's I Hear the Sunspot. I love this BL manga so much, it's one of my favourites. It'll probably always be one of my favourites. And I would love to see this get a film along the same lines of what Seaside Stranger did. That manga got a very good film, and I'd like to see this one get a good film as well. They could start out by maybe doing a film with this first one, and then a sequel film for the second one, and then maybe a short TV series for the remit, or like just more films. Yeah, I would love to see this get a film adaptation. It's so good. Also, Classmates is another BL that got a film adaptation, but I haven't not seen that one. Right, I Hear the Sunspot is about this guy he's in college, and he meets this other guy who is hearing impaired. He's not quite deaf, but he is mostly deaf, so he can't hear the lectures very well. So this guy agrees to take notes for him in exchange for food, and the two of them become close, and It's a very good story. I absolutely love it, and I would love to see a film of this. Maybe along the, like, as if a silent voice can get a good film, I don't see why this can't, because this is excellent, and I would love to see a film of this. Next up is, I'm cheating a bit for this one, because this one is not actually a manga, although it does have a manga adaptation. I have not read it though, because it's not translated. This is a light novel, so I'm still counting it. And that is Seraph at the End, Go on Each No Say Catastrophe at 16. Now, Seraph at the End, the main series, does have an anime. It has 2 seasons. I would love a 3rd, 4th, 5th, however many seasons into it completed it, but I would love more seasons of Seraph at the End, but we're not talking about extra seasons here, we're talking about manga, light novels. Anyway, I would love, even if we didn't get more seasons of Seraph at the End, I'd at least love to see an adaptation of this prequel series into an anime. Because this is a prequel about Goran's time when he was in high school before the world ended, and how he had a kind of a part in that, and what he was going through in high school, and then with the demons, and how he's learning stuff about vampires who were around but they hadn't taken over yet. And there's mystery to this, and there's action to this, and it's just as good as Seraph at the End. And I would love to see this get an adaptation like Seraph at the End did. Also, Seraph at the End definitely needs more seasons. There's also another sequel to this called Resurrection at 19 as well, which is currently ongoing. This is complete. Yeah, I know this is a light novel, but I'm counting it. I would love to see an adaptation of this. Next up, I don't know how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we talked about 6. We've got another 4 to go. And the next one is A Sign of Affection. And I know this manga series is very popular at the minute, and we need more shoujo anime. We lack shoujo anime. I know there's not a lot of profit in it, but I would still love to see more. Especially this one. This is such a sweet, cute story, which I think would make a fantastic anime. Even if it's just 12 episodes, I would love to see an adaptation of this. This series is still ongoing. But we have Yuki here, who is deaf, and one day on the train she's approached by a foreigner and asked for directions, but she can't hear what he's saying, nor can she speak English. Then this guy comes up to her and helps her out, gives the guy directions, and then they start to become friends and get closer after that. And he's interested in learning sign language because he's very interested in travelling the world and learning about other cultures and languages, and he's now interested in learning about her world and her language. And I think this would make a very good anime. Like, it would be great. Like, sometimes Yuki mishears things. She reads rips, but sometimes she misreads the rips, and the text is put, like, kind of upside down and stuff. And if they made it into an anime, they could just do that where, like, they make the voice actors, like, mispronounce something or say a different word. And I just think they could definitely do a good anime adaptation of this one, and I would really love to see it. This is a very popular manga at the minute, at least in the West. Next up, I have another ongoing series. I talked about this author's other series in my first video, so I'm going to talk about this one in this video, and that is The King's Beast. I already said in the other video that I would love to see an adaptation of Dawn of the Arcana. I would also love to see an adaptation of The King's Beast. This is a fantasy shoujo, much like Yone of the Dawn, only this one is Chinese inspired, from like ancient China. And we have, it's like, shoujo fantasies are always so good, and I love more adaptations of them, much like we had with Yona. Yona needs more seasons, by the way. It really does. And The King's Beast is about this girl here, she's an Ajin who is like a human with animalistic characteristics, and they also can sometimes have powers. Anyway, her twin brother was killed whilst being in the service of a prince. Male Ajin have the choice of like becoming a beast servant to royalty, and then the female Ajin are all sent to brothels to be prostituted. And she wants to avenge her brother, but obviously she can't do it as a female, so she has to dress as a man and pretend to be like her brother's brother rather than sister. And she sneaks into the palace and becomes the newbie servant of the prince who her brother used to serve, and together they are trying to find out who murdered her brother and why it happened. And it's such a good series that I would love to see an anime of. It would be so good. Now, next up is another older series. It's been around for a while. I think it's out of print, if not going out of print. Volume 4 especially, I struggle to find. But anyway, we have Bloody Monday, and this is a shonen series that was released by Kodansha back in, let me try and find the date. 2007? 2007 for the original and 2011 for this English translation. So the manga came out in Japan in 2007, so again, not that long after. It probably came out a few years after School Nightmare, so again, not much chance for this one as it's an older series, and I don't think it's all that popular. But this is a thriller manga about Falcon. He is a high school boy and his dad works for the Secret Service. And I haven't read this in years, so I can't actually remember everything about it, but I remember it being very good. Volume 4 especially, I loved. And he's a spy. His dad works for the Secret Service and tries to keep the country safe, and he is a hacker. He's a genius hacker, and sometimes he helps his dad out by hacking into stuff, but even though he's not supposed to, they kind of let him get away with it. Anyway, there's a terrorist plot happens where there's what's it called? It's kind of like a bioengineered virus or something that they released on this train, and they meant to mean something in the video about it being the precursor to something called Bloody Monday, and then his dad gets framed for something, and he now has to try and prove his dad's innocence by finding out the cause of Bloody Monday and and the people behind it, and try to catch them and stuff. From what I can remember, again, it's been years since I read this. Yeah, he's trying to protect his sister and clear his father's name. Anyway, here's the description. Basically, it's about a hacker trying to stop terrorists. And it's very good. It's a great action thriller series, which I think would make a fantastic anime. Like, a little bit like Terror and Resonance. I would say if you enjoyed Terror and Resonance, the anime series that doesn't have a manga, you will probably enjoy this. It's a bit similar, and if Terror and Resonance could get a good anime, it's an anime original. This could too, and it would be very good if it did. So yeah, moving on to the final one on the list, and that is Sweat and Swirl. Again, this one's super popular, so there's a good chance for this one, maybe the second highest after the Ousumano one. This is a office romance series about a guy who works in a soap factory making soap, and a girl who sweats a lot, who's a big fan of his soap, and she has issues with her sweating, and she didn't have any friends because of it, and the two of them start to go close, and he likes to smell her because he thinks she smells nice, and that's a bit weird, but it's a very wholesome series, and I think it would make a great anime, especially since it's a completed series and like maybe like 24 episodes. They could like cover the entirety, and I think it would be really good, even if they just stuck to 12. Dear, that is it for this list of 10 manga that I would like to see get an anime adaptation. I hope you enjoyed the video, and next week I'll be doing my March haul, and then maybe about a fortnight after that I'll be doing an update on my top 10 BL mangas, because I think it was around about 17 months ago that I last did a video on that, and they have changed since then, so I'd like to do an update on that. So yeah, haul next week, and then about probably a fortnight after that, expect the BL video. It'll be next month anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye. Bye.